Hey, how's it going? Sam here from Secondhand Smoke BBQ in Australia. Today we're going to show you how to cook pork ribs on our JAGRD smoker. So here we have the JAGRD, fuel at the bottom, so we load her up nice and brick full of fuel to get started, nice and hot, with a couple of natural fire lighters to get going on that. So always start with a solid fuel base. We've got some red gum here. You can use charcoal, lump charcoal on the JAGRD, but you really want to get started with a solid fuel base to get the temperature up. Temperature is obviously super important when we're cooking low and slow barbecue, but I think some people get too hung up on it. You don't want to have crazy variations in temperature, but it's also something you don't need to stress about. You see people when they first get into barbecue using Bluetooth thermometers and freaking out about 5 to 10 degrees variation. It really doesn't matter that much. So just a couple of racks that we've taken out of the freezer. Not competition spec at all. These ones are pretty thin, little shiners. These are a bit fatter, more off the baby back section. So the only thing we're really going to do to prep the ribs is to pull the membranes off. If you can't get a hold of it, a good trick is to use a piece of paper towel to get that off. And it should come off in one piece like this. So you can see I've pulled that off on this side too. You can trim this away if you want. In a comp we might do that, but for a home cook, more meat's better. So we like to trim our ribs fairly close, not leave too much fat on. These look nice. Now the time to rub. Now you can rub pork ribs with whatever you want. You can just use salt and pepper if you like. I think today I'm going to put some Holy Cow, which is I suppose more of a brisket rub, but it's got a nice bit of sweetness to it and some nice cracked black pepper. Lane's signature, I'm going to chuck on one, and then for a bit of sweetness, the honeybee honey rub chipotle. It's a bit of spice too. Nice color. Like to try some different things when we're rubbing. So these ones I've just rubbed straight, but these ones I've chucked some mustard on. Helps the rub stick and potentially adds another flavor profile. Some people think it does. We'll try it out today. Salty meat's obviously a great way to get flavor in. Something like a rib, even bigger cuts like a brisket, you can leave it on there for quite a while before it's going to start drying out the meat. It's got a sort of a dry brine, and we'll let those flavors infuse into the meat and give it more seasoning and more flavor. So we can see we've got a nice fire blazing away. The temp will get up pretty hot to begin with, that's fine. Got everything fully open. I'll shut this up now and just leave that set like that to burn away. Now we've got a decent coal base. I'll chuck a couple of fruit logs on just before we put the ribs on, and this should keep a really nice hot temp for the next few hours. Cool, so we've got the pit to around about 280, which is still fairly hot, but I want to smash these out pretty quickly. I'm going to chuck them on the middle shelf, which is generally the coolest. I've actually got a couple of probes in here at the moment. I'm just checking the temp on each of the shelves. When we're doing comp, we want to make sure we know where are the hot spots. So it's generally a bit hotter at the top, and the bottom actually tends to run a bit hotter too. So I'll run them on the middle shelf. I like to give the JAGRD a good spritz, get some sort of moisture going in there. I've just got some vinegar and extra water in here, whatever the hell you like. And so I'm going to try and smash these out in about 4 hours. We should be good to go. So we're about 1.5 hours in, temp's sitting perfect, 260 Fahrenheit. I'm actually going to wrap in a minute. I'm pretty happy with this color. So I'm fairly happy with the color of the ribs. And now I'm going to wrap. I've got two simple wraps set up. I'm actually going to try one on the peach paper, which I don't normally use, but we'll see how it goes. I'm going to do the fatter one on the peach paper. So I've got some butter and some sugar, just a simple wrap. I'm going to chuck a bit more butter on top. I'm going to spritz a couple of times, get some moisture in there. finish it with a bit of sugar. And then I'll wrap them up ready for the chuck back on the pit. Cool, so I'm just going to chuck them back on the pit. The temps actually dropped a bit, so I'm going to chuck them back on the top level. And that's something you can always keep doing, is moving stuff around within your pits based on the temperature. So probably another 2 hours, maybe a bit less. Cool, so they've been in for another hour and a half. Pretty happy with how that's looking. It pulled back from the bone a bit. So basically what I'm going to do now is glaze them with a sauce. You can use whatever sauce you like, barbecue sauce. We like a sort of more of a vinegary sauce. So I'm going to glaze this and then basically just chuck it back onto the pit for about 15-20 minutes just to set. And then we will cut them. They've just been back on for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes. Sometimes, I mean, basically just let the glaze set. So kept it open, not too high a heat. I'm pretty happy with that. These are pretty thin, so I'm going to take them off. I think that some people cook ribs too long, so there's sort of the 3-2-1 method, which works with big American ribs, but often we're sort of cooking with much sort of smaller pigs here in Australia, so you can get away with a 2-1-1 or even a 1.5, 1.5, half an hour. You can get ribs done in 3 hours sometimes. So they're off now. Just want to get a sharp knife and cut between the bones. These ribs are actually really thin. You can see there, but they look pretty good. Pretty happy with a bite through. I think that a smaller rack is a bit meatier. Yeah, pretty happy with that as well.